Okay, well, my name is Mike Hunter, and this morning we're going to turn a classic box that Richard Raffin is known for turning. This box here is out of some Claro walnut, and it is, or excuse me, it was turned by Richard Raffin. It's about 7.5 inches wide, and not very high, and it's got the distinctive lid, which is a trademark for Richard. This is a similar box that I turned a couple months ago. It's out of koa, which comes from Hawaii, and has the same characteristics. And then this one was turned a couple of weeks ago. It's from Magnolia, and again, it's got the same characteristics as a Raffin box. It's expansion chucking, a couple of beads, hollowing on the inside, turning the inside diameter of the lid, do some more expansion chucking, another bead, and finishing to the top. So, hopefully in a couple of hours, or less rather, we will have one of these boxes turned. So to start, I've got a piece of ambrosia maple, and I've already marked the centers. Well, to start the process, we need to turn this round. Make sure I have the speed down before I turn it on. And for right now, what we want to do is just get this round. The tool I'm using is a 1/2-inch Viceroy. And to use this tool, just lay it on the rest and traverse. Turn the speed up a little bit. Okay, we have a little more to take off here. Right now I'm not concerned about finish. All I want to do is just get it round. And we'll decide which is going to be the top and which is going to be the bottom. So we still have a little bit to take off here, so we'll make that the top, because that will disappear once we safe. Let's just take it down some more. Okay, that cleaned that up. So I'm going to put the tenon on the tailstock side. Okay, now I'll be using, the chuck I'm going to be using is a Supernova with the, I call them the number 2 jaws. Okay, put a little bit more locking area on the tenon here. Using the Nova chuck, you need to have a, what do you call that, Dick? The reverse dovetail. So the chuck will properly lock in there. So we're good for now. Okay, so we have a good tenon on there. The piece is securely locked. So we'll go back to turning the blank. Make sure it's round. Okay. Okay, so now we'll start working on the base of the box. For the base of the box, we want to have a nice flat surface, obviously, and then we'll start taking some material out in the middle, and then we'll wind up doing some expansion chucking, and then doing a parting cut so we can complete the box bottom. All right, let's see here. Lower the rest slightly. take a look, see what we have here. Okay, so now we can start setting things up for our expansion chucking. Okay, to clean up the base here, I'm going to use this number 1 taper tool. And I find this just a good general purpose overall tool to use. And then I like to use negative rake scrapers. In fact, I use these quite a bit for the final finish cuts. The negative rake scrapers I use are basically, not basically, they are just skews. And with the final grind on the upside, so I know where the burr is. A nice little shavings coming off there, so I know it's good and sharp. Then we'll start working in the middle here to get that. Okay, Dick. So, to set up the undercut for expansion, just go right, and I'm all set for some expansion chucking there. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit more in here. Okay. Now, normally I would do some sanding on this at this point, but for the box bottom, I can get back to it after the demo, so we won't do any sanding at this time. But the other thing you would do normally at this time would be, you know, any finish that you want to apply to the bottom, just go ahead and put it on, because you'll never, you know, now is the ideal time to put the finish on. So for the box itself, let's see here. Let's make the box just about that high. Okay, so before everything is separated, I'm going to go ahead and put some beads on here. So let me kind of set the body up with some taper. Okay, right now that looks good. And what I have here are some standard off-the-shelf beading tools that I purchased. And the way these are used is just like a scraper. You feed in and then go just kind of go side to side till you put the bead on the tool. And I have, or on the workpiece rather, two sizes. I'm going to put two beads on. One is a 1/4 inch bead, the first one. And then the next one will be a 3/16 inch bead. I'm going to turn the RPM down, probably around 600. So I'm feeding left side, then right side, left side, right side, left side, right side, left side, right side, left side, right side, left side. And I should pretty much have a bead on there by now. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Clean up a little bit on the bottom here. Okay, then we'll put another bead above it, and we'll go with the 3/16 inch bead. And these bead diameters are not cast in concrete. It's just whatever you think looks good. So, left side, right side, left side, right side, left side, And looks like we have two fairly nice beads there. A little rough right there, but some sanding, light sanding will take that out. I'm going to clean up the side of the box here. Okay. Now we can go ahead and part the box. Okay, so this will be our box body. We'll take this chuck off. I'm going to switch to another chuck that has some wider jaws than the number 2 jaws. Okay. Okay, so we're set now. We've got we're in expansion chucking, and even though we're not being held by much, it really doesn't take much to do some hollowing. Obviously, when we're working on the doing the hollowing, we're not going to be very aggressive with it. We're just going to take a lot of light cuts. Another reason for using this chuck, or at least these chuck jaws on the expansion chucking, is I can always slip the gauge in behind the chuck jaws and come up with a real measurement of how thick the wood is right now. So first thing we want to do is drill a hole. And to set that up, obviously we don't want to drill down to the bottom or through the bottom. Okay, that's all we need. That'll make our life a lot easier for the hollowing process. And for a reference, let's just see what we've got here. So I'll slip the gauge in behind the chuck jaws. And actually, looks like we could maybe even take that down a little further. Shows we've got about a 1/2 inch in thickness there if we hollow out to the base of the drill point. So let's just stay with that for the time being. So for the hollowing, have the tool on center, and I'm working from outside to inside, just light cuts. We're up around 1500 RPM. So this is just a series of light cuts, and it doesn't take long to remove quite a bit of wood. Okay, so let's just kind of do some gauging here and see where we're at. So in the very middle, we're about a 1/2 inch thick, a little under a half on the edges here, so we've got a high point in the middle. We're down about a 1/4 inch right there, so let's just work on the floor of the bed of the box. And as woodworkers, we've all learned to gauge twice and cut once, so I like to gauge just about with every pass. So we'll take another pass. All right, we should be getting pretty close now. All right, a little over a quarter. Looks pretty consistent. Need to work on the radius down here in the bottom. Okay, that's more like it. So by the time we do some sanding and scraping, you know, we're going to be where we need to be. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to take a little bit off right there if you can see that little high point. And I'm just going to take the negative rake scraper, kind of clean up the bottom here. I don't know if the camera shows that, but that's a nice smooth bottom there. It'll take very little sanding, or require very little sanding. One thing I've found on these boxes, these are all done side grain, so you know, as the wood or as the seasons change, the wood is going to expand and contract. So we're not looking for any tight turner's fit on here. We want something loose, and even on this Raffin box, you know, you can see it's a fairly loose top. So that's what we're going to do with this box too. We're going to set up a. One thing that Richard has on his box is a little slope going down towards the inside, so when you're putting the lid on, that helps line up the lid. So we'll put that on. All right. So we've got a box bottom now, and I'll, let's see here. Still tight, yeah. All right. So now, next thing we want to do is, this is going to be a piston fit box, so we want to turn to our diameter we need for the piston fit. And just to give it a rough marking, okay. All right, that line will be the outside diameter of our piston for the piston fit. So let's take some wood off of that. Okay, looks like we're actually pretty close right now. So again, we want a loose fit on this. We're almost there. more shot here. And that's good. See, that's just a nice loose fit, but not a sloppy fit. All right, so now we'll drill another hole and work on the inside of the dome. Now on this dome, we'll take this to finish because once we do the parting cut on the dome, we'll never be able to get back to it. So I'll take some time to do some sanding and on this in this area. And we'll go a little deeper on here since we got plenty of wood. So for the interior of the dome, basically what we're just going to repeat the process that we did on the hollowing of the box. Using this Viceroy tool going from left to right, you can see where I'm starting to already set up for the interior of the dome and the shape that it's going to be. Just light feed rates. You want to have the tool, give the tool plenty of time to cut. See what we look like. Oh, we're looking pretty nice in there. I'm going to just make a couple more light cuts, light passes, and do some sanding. Yeah, that's a pretty good finish on that. I hope, does that show up okay on the camera? It should. Yeah, it does. So, just to lightly do some sanding. I'm going to start out with, I think I'll just start out with this 220. And let's see here. I believe this is 320. Yeah, there's some 320. And I think we're looking pretty good in there. Okay. Our fit is still good. Okay, so now we want to do some expansion chucking in this area so we can flip the box over and work on the outside. Before we go too far on that though, I'm going to take a little off of the top just to make life easier once we flip it over. Using that #1 taper tool for that operation there, I just find that a good general purpose tool to use. Now let me check one thing. We want the box top to be slightly less than the major diameter on the box body, so we'll take a little off of the top here. Take just a touch more off of that. We're about there. Okay. All right. So just like Richard did on his, he's got his chucking point way down fairly deep. I'm just going to make mine fairly shallow here so we can use the jaws that I have set up. And that's where we'll do our chucking diameter right there. So, I think we're ready to flip this over. We'll see if we can use these number 2 jaws. If not, we'll go back to the other set of jaws I had. Yeah, these number 2 will work. So now it's just a matter of finishing up the top to look something like this. So let's see what we have in depth here. So we've got a lot of material there. And yeah, we've got a lot of material all over that thing. Now again, we're in expansion mode chucking, so light cuts is what we need. Okay, then we want another bead on the top of the on the lid top. And you know, the bead diameter is clearly your choice, but I'm just going to go with the 3/16. And I always like to position the bead just where the box body would be. So turn the speed back down. There's left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and I think we're there. I'm going to call it that we are there. Roll this put a radius on the bottom here. Okay, let's do some gauging here. I'm sure we've got a lot of material in there, but just to play it safe. Yeah, so we've got about a 1/2 inch to play with. So we are good. Right now I'm just trying to get this deep enough to remove that center point. And to play it safe, let's see what we have in material. Yeah, we're still in good shape. A little recess in this. Take a little pointer tool. Put a distinct line around that. And you know, I'm going to take all this down a little bit more because I think, you know, we need a little bit more gripping area there for the top. Clean up the dome. And with the exception of some sanding and some finishing, we should be about done. And again, this is side grain, so we want that box to be nice, box lid to be nice and loose. So, yeah, I think we've got ourselves a fairly decent looking box. And that will be the end.
Okay, I've got both Dick and Mike Hunter up here now, so you guys are both spotlighted. And do we have any questions from anybody? Now you need to unmute yourself, either hold down the space bar and talk, or just go to the mic and unmute yourself.
Hey, Mike, it's Julie. How are you?
Hi, Julie.
Hey, so was that the half-inch Viceroy you were using? I'm assuming not the big 5/8?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
The half
Yeah.
inch. Mhm.
Mike, this is Joe Warren. Being a Raffin special on that box, is that copyrighted?
No, I actually followed the directions from Richard posted it in Fine Woodworking way back in 2007. So, you know, I gave Richard the credit that it's his design. So I think anybody can make it and just, you know, follow those directions.
Okay, because I was wondering for craft shows.
Well, I would not say it's your design. I would call it a Raffin design.
Okay.
And
right,
Richard, and I've sent pictures of the boxes to Richard. He's commented favorably. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike, this is Linda. What type of finish do you typically put on it?
Oh, lately I've been using sanding sealer diluted, and then that sanding wax from England.
Yorkshire grit?
Yeah, the Yorkshire grit.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you know, they've got a finer grit that they kind of a polishing grit too.
Okay. I presume it's to hold food type things possibly? or just any trinkets?
Yeah, just any trinket you want to put in there. Being this one was out of ambrosia maple, it's got holes in it, so it doesn't hold much of anything other
Oh,
than
okay. So,
or something
so
like
I've seen Keith Gotcho make some of that style and design to hold, tortillas or Mexican
Sure.
foods. So I just wondered.
Yeah, finishing is not my thing.
I
Thank
thought
you.
they would make a nice rice bowl, at a time or two.
Yes, yeah, it would be a nice rice bowl.
And I've given some to friends filled with candy. So
Okay, yeah, it took a while for me to first get comfortable in turning this box, but what we do, maybe an hour and then 15, 20 minutes
Yeah.
for this box, start to finish.
yeah, what everybody saw was pretty much it. It was just straight through.
Right.
So Mike, your beading tool, is that one of the tools that you make?
No, that came from D-Way out in, I think they're in Portland or Seattle, somewhere out there in the Northwest.
Could you go over to the tools that you actually use? I know I saw a Viceroy and you talked about, I don't know if it was a number one.
Yeah, the tools I actually used primarily were the Viceroy, the 1/2-inch Viceroy, and that uses the number one cutter. And then the other tool I used is the number one taper tool. And that's actually part of a 3-piece set, but you can purchase the taper tools individually. And that also uses the number one cutter. And I find that little taper tool just a good universal tool to do a lot of stuff with. Oh yeah, Dick, you've got them up there now, don't you? Yeah. And so anyways, both tools use the same cutter. I like using that number one cutter. It's a forgiving cutter, but on the plus side, it's forgiving. But on the downside, those little undulations that you get when you're turning wood, it's a smaller radius. So it all depends on your tool control, how good a surface finish you get. And so as a result, I like to use those negative rake scrapers. And those negative rake scrapers are Thompson skews that I just ground. They don't even have a handle on them. So
Were those Thompson ones, Mike?
those were Thompsons, mainly because I bought them from Doug at a show.
Yeah.
And I think we actually did a little barter of some sort. So
Hey, Mike.
yes.
Hey, it's Mark. Quick question for you on those Thompson unhandled tools.
Yes.
So that's just his skew then, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
you
his
use
standard
negative-
skew. I think those were, I had 3 sizes, a 1/2-inch, an 1.25 inches, and then an 1.5 inches. And then some people keep them straight, like Doug, grinds them. Myself, I like to have a little radius ground on the skews. So, but that's all just personal preference.
It
There you
didn't
go,
seem
Dick.
like you were losing an edge at all. So I don't know if you were using the same tool and it just keeps
Yeah.
the edge.
Yeah, I use the same edge, same tool, same edge, and they were ground just before I started. And Dick, the one you held up there had a nice radius on it. I just find those easier to use versus one that's straight across. But and then I grind those with I've got 2 wheels, the 180 grit for roughing it out, and then I finish grind with the 600 grit. And I never worked the scraper very hard. I always just light cuts.
Got it. You're using the skew as a scraper then, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Thanks.
What was the name of the beading tools that you used again, or the people that you bought that from?
Oh, D-Way, letter D dash way, W-A-Y. And they're out in the Northwest area, and you can do a Google search and it'll come right up. And the 2 sizes I used was the 1/4 inch and then the 3/16. And when you purchase the tools, D-Wave's got a pretty good video on how to use those tools. I was struggling with the first couple of boxes, and then I took the time to watch the video, and turned out I was using the tool upside down.
Mike,
Yes.
Mark Palma, can you
Hey,
talk?
Mark.
Mike, can you talk a little bit about those gauges that you use? I assume you made those. You just
Okay, those were 2 gauges. The larger one I purchased from Mike Jakowski. Mike is a wood turning professional, lives in the San Diego area. Now, there you go. That's the Mike Jakowski gauge. And one of the little tricks I learned was when you're preparing the tendon, if you make the tendon just a little bit larger, they always say you want to have the tendon smaller. But I've found that if you make the tendon a little bit larger, you can, a lot of times you can slip that gauge in behind the tendon and use that as a real accurate measurement as far as how much wood you have left in the bottom. And then the other gauge I made, or the other gauge I had, that was manufactured by Johnny Tolley down in Austin, Texas. And he's a wood turner. And just a second, I can give you his phone number here. Let me bring it up. He's got those in a set of 3 that he sells. And I'm not sure what the price is on that, but
Back a couple years ago, they were 25.
that sounds about right. Okay, Johnny, and the last name is Tolley, T-O-L-L-Y. He's in the Austin, Texas area. And Johnny's very active in Beads of Courage. In fact, several years ago, he sent up like 10 sets, and they were sold to various members of the clubs. And but everything was donated to the Beads of Courage. And his email is jtolley47@gmail.com.
I feel like I should add a hazard warning. Since Mike was in the shop, I've made 35 of those.
So you're another expert on these now, Dick, aren't you?
Mike, do you have anything else you want to add before we end?
No, I think I'm in pretty good shape. Thank you. Dick, I certainly appreciate your help in putting this together.
So
No trouble.
well, I know Mike Rower's sitting in the background there, so he's probably got every little tidbit, and it'll see it in the newsletter. So, and then this will get posted here relatively soon. So look for that on our website too. And of course, everybody I'm assume knows that all the videos we've done this year, they're posted. Some of the professionals only last, a week or a month, but so you try and look at those pro ones as soon as you can. So, but again, Mike, thanks for doing the demo. It's a very interesting project, and we appreciate you doing all that. So
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I was a little hesitant to do this, to even start making one of these boxes, but once you jump in there and just kind of follow the directions, it's a sequence, and it's not that hard to do.
it looks like a very fun project.
Yes, yeah. It's rewarding because a lot of people like them. My daughter was up here, I don't know, 5-6 weeks ago, and from St. Louis. And at that time, I had about a half a dozen boxes, and I'm down now to 1. So
You should have sent her over.
that's the one we sent home with a couple of platters.
Yeah.
So
All right. Thank you now.
thanks again, Mike.
Thank
Dick,
you.
thanks now.
Thank you for the great demo. It was very good.